The smell of incense still lingered in the hallway when Li Wei arrived at the apartment. 3 weeks had passed since September 11th. The day the world learned that Menglong was gone. Outside, the street remained a shrine of wilted flowers, handwritten letters, and photographs taped against the wall. Candles flickered in the wind, bending their light toward the balcony where fans still whispered his name. Inside, silence ruled. When Yu's mother unlocked the door, it creaked like something waking from grief. Dust hung in the air, catching the gray light that slipped through the curtains. Nothing had been touched since that night. A cup of tea sat half-finished on the table. A script lay open on the sofa, its pages still marked with pencil notes. The clock on the wall had stopped at 11:47 p.m. The official time of death. Li Wei stepped carefully through the room, her recorder in hand. She had covered scandals before, but never a story that felt this sacred. On the dresser, a silver watch and a broken fountain pen, lay a small wooden box sealed with an old strip of tape. Yu's mother pressed her fingers against it, trembling. "He used to hide his notebooks here," she said softly. Li Wei opened the box. Inside, wrapped in a white handkerchief, was a worn leather-bound diary. The corners were frayed, stained with what looked like fingerprints and tears. The first page was dated August 29, 2025. The handwriting was clean, deliberate, almost too neat, the way people write when they're trying to keep control. "They say I'm living every dream, but I feel like I'm standing outside my own life, watching someone else perform as me." The next page was darker. "Every day they remind me that I belong to them. My face, my voice, my smile, all trademarks now. I had to complain once, and they told me, 'Without us, you're nothing.' Maybe they're right. I don't even recognize my reflection anymore." Li Wei paused, her throat tightening. The words were not a farewell, they were a slow confession of suffocation. She turned another page. "I used to believe fame was light. But light burns. And I've been standing in it too long." On the shelf above the desk was a framed photograph of Yu at the start of his career, young, radiant, free. The man in the picture smiled effortlessly. The man who wrote these words sounded like a ghost still trapped in his body. Further in, the entries became shorter, sharper. They changed everything: my songs, my interviews, even my handwriting on social media. I've become a script written by strangers. There's something called Project Menglong. They said it will make me immortal. I think it's what's killing me." The ink on that line bled through the page, as if written with a shaking hand. Li Wei's recorder captured the sound of her breath. Outside, it began to fall, soft at first, then heavier, like the world itself was weeping. Yu's mother sat on the edge of the bed, staring at a photo of her son. "He wrote every night," she whispered. "Even when he was sick, he wrote. I didn't know it was this." Li Wei kept reading. Each entry revealed more of the man beneath the idol, the fear, the loneliness, the defiance. "They call me a star. Stars die in silence. No one hears the explosion, they just see the light fade. I'm not allowed to rest. If I stop smiling, they panic. If I stop working, they call it depression. Maybe they were right, maybe I am depressed. Or maybe I'm just awake." On September 8, 3 days before his death, the writing changed completely. The neat penmanship collapsed into jagged lines. The sentences cut off mid-thought. "They came again tonight. Told me I need to sign the renewal. I said no. He said I wouldn't have to worry after the 11th. I don't know what that means. But I don't feel safe. Someone is outside the door. I hear footsteps. I'm paranoid. Maybe I'm not." Li Wei looked toward the locked window and shivered. The room felt smaller with every line she read. "If tomorrow ends, I hope someone finds this. Not to mourn me, but to remember who I was before they erased me." At the bottom of the page was a small smudge of red, maybe ink, maybe blood. The final entry, September 10th, began with the words, "I can't sleep. Every sound feels like a countdown. Think I'm broken. But I'm just tired of pretending. If I vanish, don't let them call it weakness. Call it freedom." Then, at the very end, written in unsteady strokes, a sentence that froze Li Wei's blood. "Don't believe what they say. I didn't fall, I was pushed." Beneath it, a single initial, Y. Li Wei's recorder clicked off. The only sound left was the rain against the window pane. Yu's mother whispered. He used to talk about someone named Mr. Why? I thought it was a producer. Li Wei stared at the diary, the name ringing in her mind like an echo. Mr. Why? She had seen that name once before. Buried in leaked corporate emails from a year earlier. To words like Project Menglong and Phoenix Entertainment. Looked again at the last line of the diary. The ink was still faintly smudged, as if it had never fully dried. The realization hit her all at once. He must have written this just hours before he died. Outside, a flash of lightning illuminated the skyline. For a moment, Li Wei saw her reflection in the window, and behind it, flicker of movement in the dark street below. Someone was watching the apartment. She quickly placed the diary back into the box and handed it to Yu's mother. Keep this safe, she said. Let anyone take it. Her phone vibrated. A message from an unknown number appeared. You shouldn't have opened that box. Li Wei's breath caught. She looked outside again. But the street was empty now, just the candles flickering in the rain. Each one a tiny voice refusing to go out. She turned back to the desk where the half-written script still lay. Across the top of the page, Yu had written one last note in pencil. Different from the diary entries, perhaps something for a role that would never be filmed. Sometimes the truest lines are the ones we were never allowed to say out loud. Li Wei closed the notebook and whispered, I'll say them for you. As she stepped out of the apartment, the door closed with a soft, final click. Behind it, the room fell silent again. But the diary, now locked inside her memory recorder, would not stay quiet. Because Yu Menglong's words had finally found their reader. The night after leaving the apartment, Li Wei couldn't sleep. The words in Yu Menglong's diary replayed like a haunting echo. I didn't fall, I was pushed. She opened her laptop, stared at the blinking cursor, and began to type. Every sentence she wrote felt like trespassing into someone's afterlife. But silence, she thought, was worse. 2 days later, she returned to the studio district. The staff avoided her eyes. One young assistant finally whispered. He was scared before he died. He said someone called Mr. Y kept sending people to check on him. The boy handed her a small flash drive. He said, if anything happens, it's to someone who still believes him. Back in her apartment, Li Wei plugged in the drive. A single folder appeared, to the ones who listen. Inside were digital pages, a backup of Yu's diary. Longer and rawer than the one on paper. Timestamps ran until midnight, September 10th. They told me to stop writing. They said words are dangerous when you have fans. But words are all I have left. If I can't speak in interviews, I'll speak here. If they erase this, maybe someone will still find the file. She scrolled, she found a document named Letter to Mother TXT. The last message began like a conversation he'd never had time to finish. You always said fame was a blessing. It is, for everyone else. I keep smiling because you taught me never to make people worry. But, Mom. Tired of smiling. I want to rest without pretending. Li Wei covered her mouth. The letter ended with one unfinished sentence. One day they say I chose this, please know I only chose peace. She copied everything and began cross-checking the dates with a police report. The official timeline said Yu Menglong died at 11:47 p.m. Yet a system log showed that this same flash drive had been edited at 12:03 a.m. Had continued even after the world believed him gone. Deeper she looked, the clearer the pattern became. Phoenix Entertainment, Project Menglong, Mr. Y, all linked by financial documents and studio memos bearing one phrase, maintain narrative integrity. That evening she confronted a former executive. Man's hands shook as he lit a cigarette. He wanted out, he said. They couldn't risk that. The investors. He said he'd go public with everything. Then, the next day, he was gone. Li Wei released her story at dawn. The headline read, The diary they tried to erase, Yu Menglong's final words to the world. Within an hour, servers crashed under the traffic. Screens filled with quotes from the diary. If fame is light, why do I feel so cold? I didn't fall, I was pushed. Hashtags bloomed, Yu Menglong diary his final words justice for you. By noon, Phoenix Entertainment held a press conference denying everything. Their statement was clinical, emotionless. Public had already chosen whom to believe. Fans flooded memorial sites, lighting candles and reading his words aloud as if reciting scripture. At sunset, Li Wei stood among them. His mother took the microphone, her voice trembling. He wasn't saying goodbye, she said. He was asking us to listen. She opened the diary and read. Never afraid of the dark, only of those who call it light. Thousands of phones recorded the moment. The crowd repeated his name again and again until the air vibrated with grief and defiance. That night, Li Wei received another anonymous message. You made them hear. Be careful. She didn't reply. Instead, he uploaded the entire digital diary to international servers. The file spread across continents in hours. Once released, it could never be taken back. Weeks passed. Phoenix Entertainment collapsed. Mr. Y vanished overseas. Authorities reopened the case. But the truth had already escaped their control. The diary had become its own kind of justice. On a gray morning in November, Li Wei traveled to the mountain temple where Yu's ashes were kept. Smelled of sandalwood and rain. On the altar lay a copy of the diary. Its last page open. Someone had underlined the final line in red ink. The truth always finds its reader. She bowed, whispering. You're right, Yu. You weren't erased. Sighed, the rain began again. Soft and endless. Down in the city, people still quoted his words. Them on walls. Printed them on banners. His goodbye had turned into a movement. Li Wei looked up at the gray sky. He wrote to be remembered. Quietly. And now. He always will be. Carried her words away, scattering them like pages of a story finally set free.